him play a little bit. I actually remember his match against Frank Carson where he was playing ad nauseum in Modern.
Okay.
Took that tournament by surprise. After that, he won a PTQ. Sure, he just needed to qualify for the next Pro Tour. Not really, but he did win a PTQ in the meantime. And how did he do that? Well, he kept the 7-lander in Game 3 of the finals.
Sure.
He was playing blue, white, red control against mono black, and he decided I didn't want to be thought seized. So he kept the hand. Those were actually pretty heavy on temples. After that, top 8's Grand Prix Cincinnati with a black, white mid-range deck. Sure. Wins a Sunday Super Series. Sure. So he's qualified for that. And then his next Pro Tour, because his first is where he got 9th, well, he top 16 that one. Throwing an invitational top 8 at the Season 1 Envy in Charlotte earlier this year. And I've been watching and playing Magic for a really long time. I haven't really seen anything like that.
That is quite the run.
That is absurd.
I think you need to go back to Kai's run through Grand Prix in 99, 2000, I think it was, to have a run like that. But a heater like that is unbelievable. He is playing 4-color Delver right now, which is a deck basically replacing Tarmogoyf with Young Pyromancer, and he has a couple copies of Deathrite Shaman in his deck.
Very Eric Real-esque.
Yeah.
Merriam on a mulligan to 5 here. That's why you only see 3 cards being laid down for the probe. A Heritage Druid, a Glimpse, and a Misty Rainforest. You see the basic forest and a Quirion Ranger in play. Boettcher, of course, probing here. Going to go down to 18 to do so, so he'll add another card to his hand. And I imagine this game's going to be a pretty tough one here for Merriam to win.
Jared has a lot of very good tools for this matchup. He has 4 copies of Lightning Bolt naturally, a main deck Fire Ice, some counter spells, Grim Lavamancer's in the sideboard. He's got a lot of tools to fight Elves.
You mentioned the main deck Fire Ice. That's actually what he drew for the turn. So,
yeah.
Or, excuse me, off of the probe.
I think before he was planning on just bolting, but now he may be considering trying to squeeze a little bit more.
Now he's got the info. Talk about the power of a Taxian probe. That's a nice volcanic island. I'm a little jealous.
Sure.
Which one is that? Do you know?
Some foreign black bordered. I would guess it is German, looking at the font size of the text box.
Now you've got that sniper's eye.
No, it's just so long that I assume it's the German one.
Okay.
I can't read it from here.
You're so modest. Looks like it might be lightning bolt time here in just a moment. We'll see. As you said, you might want to squeeze a little out with this this Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
Get the full-blown 2-for-1.
But Jared's creature base, 4 Deathrite Shaman, 4 Delver Secrets, 4 Young Pyromancer, and 2 copies of Shunade Nemesis. Stifle, Ponder, Bolt, Probe, Force of Will, a main deck Fire Ice, Daze, Brainstorm.
Pretty run-of-the-mill stuff as far as the Delver deck's concerned. Actually, our first one that we've watched today.
Yeah.
In comes Quirion Dryad for 1. Excuse me, Quirion Ranger. That's no Dryad.
No.
I know Quirion Dryad. That's no Dryad. You know, I'd really like for that card to be good again, though.
The Dryad?
Yeah. That's a sweet card. Tarmogoyf just kind of kicked it to the curb.
Yeah. It's
unfortunately. Why work so hard when you don't have to? You have a big green creature.
Young Pyromancer is also another, probably just kind of more powerful version of that card.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Mr. Rainforest getting sacrifice here. Boettcher's going to go down a little further to 15. He'll go searching up a land. It's a tropical island. You see that shirt he's wearing? Pro Tour Journey into Nyx. Top 16 there. It's been a fun past 8 months for Jared, that's for sure.
I had to imagine. Just never losing. Seems sweet.
Delver Secrets. That'll come into play. See the hand again, a little heavy on lands. There's an Underground Sea, there's a Wasteland. We know about the Fire Ice. Not too sure about the rest of the contents just yet. Merriam will give this a hearty shuffle before he heads back to his turn. He'll untap the Ranger. He will take a draw. It's a Wirewood Symbiote.
And with the Glimpse in hand and 2 creatures, he can't, or it's very unlikely he can fully go off here, but he can at least have a little mini spurt. But it looks like he's going for a different setup.
Yeah, what I don't think Ross knows is that he's going to get blown out pretty badly by Fire and Ice here. Delver Trigger. That's not flipping. Looks like he's trying to play around Stifle right now, too, which he's done a decent job of.
But I think that Fire and Ice is going to be so punitive to Ross right now, especially on a 5-card hand.
There's another Volcanic. Again, this 4-color Delver deck that Boettcher's playing is a deck that Eric Rill, not sure if the exact 60 lineup or exact 75, but Eric Rill winning Milwaukee when we were there.
Yeah.
With that deck. That's actually what catapulted him into the Season 2 Players Championship race. But unfortunately for him, was not able to keep it together all the way. But chasing down Vandermeter was pretty tough given his performance over the course of the season.
And even though the mana looks stretched, it's kind of similar to a Rogue Delver mana base, except you have a little bit of black mana thrown in to activate Deathrite Shaman's black half.
Reminds me of Esper Deathblade a lot, where you are 4 colors, but realistically you're not.
Yeah.
There is fire from Fire and Ice. Still good after all these years.
Still getting it done. I mean,
Yeah.
Legacy is a broad enough format where it's rare you can play tools that are kind of this specialized, but the fact that you can cycle it, pitch to Force of Will, whatever, means it can only be so bad.
Merriam not too thrilled that his elves have died, but he does have to put those in the graveyard and take 1 as well. Ross will take a draw here. Again, he has been playing combo elves for some time now, starting off 5-0 this weekend. He's going to start by sacrificing this, knowing that Stifle could be there. He's hoping for the best, and it will not work. Stifle will take care of that.
That look you give every round of every Legacy tournament, just offering up your fetch land and hoping.
Do you have a Stifle? Yeah, I do. Brainstorm's going to flip that Delver into an Insectile Aberration. You can see Jared is working on all cylinders right now. In for 3 goes, Merriam down to 14.
And Jared's actually either borrowed this from a very nice person, or he has decided to ball out a little bit in lieu of his recent success.
Yeah, perhaps he's used some of those winnings to build himself a rather nice pile of cards here. Looks like he's going to put a couple of lands back. One thing he doesn't have is fetch lands here, so. He will play an Underground. Follow that up with a Deathrite Shaman. You see the hand, he's got a Lightning Bolt, Daze. A couple other toys. Merriam finally going to cast a spell. It's Quern Ranger. This one may be days worthy. Just hard cast it.
Sure.
That's what he's going to do. Get that thing off the table. Merriam just has to pass the turn back over to Boettcher, who will untap and take a draw. We know he's drawing a land. It's a wasteland here. I believe the next turn will be drawing a land as well. He'll start by attacking for 3. Merriam's going to go down to 11. Deathrite Shaman at the ready. Merriam will draw a card. It's a copy of Nettle Sentinel. That one's not going to help much.
And this 4-color Delver deck has so much closing speed. It's really impressive that from going from playing purely defensive to winning the game in about 4 turns.
Deathrite Shaman will go active, remove Daze. Merriam going to go down to 9. You do mention the closing speed. It certainly has some of that. Boettcher will draw a card. It is a copy of Tropical Island. In comes Insectile Aberration again. Merriam down to 6. All Boettcher will do is simply pass the turn back. Merriam will take a draw. Does not look like he's found a land. Looks like it's been a Birchlore Ranger. He will cast Birchlore Ranger. Will Boettcher have a response? You see he's looking at a Wasteland, a Trop, a Stifle, and a Bolt. I'm not convinced he even needs to have a response at this point.
And he can respond by bolting the Nettle Sentinel, and that puts Ross in a position where he needs to have a land to even continue to play. It looks like Jared is just going to sit.
And the tough thing here is Ross is just trying to make the best out of a bad situation, being stuck on mana. Yep, and he said, enough is enough. You've got me beat.
Yep.
Jared Boettcher going to win game number 1 here over Ross Merriam. 4-color Delver up a game over Combo Elves as we take our attention to the sideboard. Merriam with 3 copies of Cabal Therapy, 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Abrupt Decay, a Scavenging Ooze, a Gaddock Teeg, a Quasali Pride Mage, a Natural Order, a World Spine Worm, and a Progenitus. Sure. Got to get that Natural Order package going.
I like Progenitus a lot in this matchup. If Jared has any sort of sideboard, it's going to involve killing a lot of small creatures. So trying to go off via Craterhoof Behemoth is challenging.
I would agree.
Your little creatures are going to get broken up most likely. But Natural Order for Progenitus allows you to win the game very easily. So I think that package is going to be coming in.
I'm also a fan of Scavenging Ooze here.
Yeah.
Once you're able to grind out the you can lead the game in a certain direction where that's a very good card for you.
Yeah.
On your side.
2 Ancient Grudge, 3 Cabal Therapy, 2 Golgari Charm. 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Grim Lavamancer, 2 Power Blast, 2 Spell Pierce. I think the 2 Grim Lavamancers are going to be coming in for sure. The 2 Golgari Charms as well. Ross, of course, a lot of one-time creatures in his deck. Do you think that he wants to bring in Grafdigger's Cage here?
I would imagine that's the case, yeah.
Yeah. And to bring up Natural Order, of course.
Yeah. These players will finish sideboarding up here. We'll have Game 2 underway in just a moment for you guys at home. Of course, Season 2 Invitational next weekend in Columbus. But we can look ahead a little bit because you and I will be spending a lot of time together, so I hope you like me.
Yeah. I've gotten used to you, at least.
Why, at least you tolerate me.
That's a starting point.
That's certainly true.
Most people don't do that well, so, you know, you got to start somewhere.
Grand Prix Orlando is where we'll begin. Limited Grand Prix, you, me, and Matthias Hunt. Should be a lot of fun. First limited Grand Prix we've ever done.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then we have the Open Series in Worcester. Me and you, yet again, we'll go to Boston. Outside of Boston, about an hour away outside of Boston, but I actually like the DCU Center quite a bit. And I swear it's not because I top-8'd a Grand Prix there. I actually just like Worcester.
This is my first, too. We've had a lot of Magic events in Worcester the last couple of years. I still have never been.
We'll go to Minneapolis after that. I know you're filling in for Chapin on that event, so I actually haven't been to Minneapolis in years, not since the Nationals. That was there like 3 years ago, maybe 4.
I did an event last year with Shaheen Sarani, which was my first time in the city.
I love Minnie.
Yeah, it was sweet.
They have for me, they have the best airport in the country.
They are high on my list, but that doesn't really define the city experience.
Not at all,
no.
but I always am happy to fly there because of the airport. Oakland after that, we said it yesterday, we'll say it again today. French toast and fried chicken.
Yeah.
We got to find it. Some way, somehow.
We'll flag it down.
After that, we'll go to Columbus, which is actually where we're heading next week. So that'll be fun. That'll be our 3rd time there this year. After that, we'll go to Jersey.
Yes.
The Shore.
Home. Well, I have they announced the venue for that show yet?
I do not believe they have yet.
They probably won't have it down on the Shore. They did have it down at the Shore for the old Grand Prix New Jersey, which was held in the, I believe, the Toms River North High School Gymnasium.
I was there. I actually drove there from Purdue. I don't know why.
I am crossing my fingers that does not happen again.
Yeah, I drove there with Jerry Thompson, Nate Price, and Adam Yurchik. They roped me in at 2 in the morning.
This was one of my actual favorite Magic memories that occurred at that tournament, was watching Kenji Samura have a conversation with my mother. Well, that was just delightful.
That sounds wonderful.
Yes.
Matthias Hunt and Patrick Chapin will take care of Richmond. Then we will head to the Dirty South in Atlanta, one of my favorite venues down there in the Duluth Center.
Yep.
Follow it up with Portland with OSIP and you.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't done a lot of shows with OSIP.
No.
I don't think so. That should be fun to watch. I'll actually, since I'm not on there, I'll be doing battle.
Is that why you asked for Portland off?
I did not actually ask for it off. It was just given to me.
Okay.
And then we'll do Seattle, me, you, and Mr. Chapin, and we'll finish it up with our first Players' Championship in Roanoke to end out the year.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and then we can actually kind of put our feet up on December 22nd.
Sort of. Assuming we can get out of Roanoke, because it'll probably be some sort of snowstorm.
Yeah. So who knows? We might actually get a week off from this whole thing. But Q4 is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of cities to look at, a lot of Magic to be played, a lot of invites to be given out to that Players' Championship at the very end of the year. And watching those 16 players battle out should be a lot of fun, too. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, the end of the year, the schedule is totally cramped, of course. Show basically every weekend, but the ramp up in Season 4 is going to be great.
Of course, 2 players already qualified for that. Season 1 Invitational had BBD and Derek Sheets qualify. You saw Sheets win a fantastic 5-game match against Jesse Hafner in the final, playing Esper Deathblade. BBD, season points leader, caught Huey and then kept that lead.
Just kept grinding away.
Yeah. So that was definitely a fun tournament to watch. Again, I always remember Michael Majors winning the Legacy Open at about 2 a.m. Before that was our last match, and I remember having to get out of there at like 7 a.m. a couple hours after that. So.
I remember I covered the semifinals and then headed down the street to the bar. And I got there at about 11:30 or 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were out of there. They shut the bar down before you guys were done.
That's correct. Grinding away.
Yep.
But truth be told, even though we were up late that evening, watching that Game 3, Majors defeating Braverman was something I'll never forget.
Majors is He's really good.
Yes, he is.
He's really good.
I believe at the last Pro Tour he finished, I think, exactly in 16th place.
Yep.
I believe. So, yeah, he is really going to be something special. He's making a name for himself on both circuits. Looks like Boettcher is going to lay out these 7 cards, and let's make it a few more. Mulligan down to 6 here. It's his turn to mulligan. Merriam took a mulligan to 5 last time.
And mulligans are really rough on Elves. It's a little bit different than the post-board games because you can win just with Natural Order for Progenitus, and you can do that on very few cards. But Game 1, you're all about building up a big board, so mulligans are pretty tough.
Now, we mentioned the 2 players that are qualified for the Players' Championship, and Brian Brondwin and Derek Sheets. We can say 3 now with Chris Van Meter. basically. It looks like he's locked it up after this weekend as Fabiano was not able to run him down and put together an insanely nice weekend. What are these players playing for is the question. And first place, well, that's pretty hefty.
For a 16-person tournament?
Yeah.
And remember that airfare and accommodations are also going to be covered for all these players as
Yes.
well. So this is a really juicy tournament to qualify for.
$20,000 for first, $8,000 for second. You can see the rest of the prize breakdown there, but that is going to be a very intense and fun tournament to watch. And I love covering tournaments all year long anyway. I find myself very lucky to have the job that I have, but that tournament, I can't wait.
It's only going to be the cream, and it's awesome covering the invitationals for that reason. This is going to be that even more magnified.
Yeah, so this is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and we'll see who has the big check at the end, the trophy and everything else that this includes for the Players' Championship. And I wouldn't be surprised to see either one of these players here.
No, I think they're definitely in play for both of them. Ross especially so after the tournament yesterday.
Yeah,
I guess technically this morning.
Yeah, I mean, this invitational is going to be a big deal. You're going to punch another ticket. Looks like Chris Van Meter is going to be there already. So you got CVM, BBD, Derek Sheets, and who knows who the fourth person is going to be. And, of course, these Open Series points all year long are going to contribute to those 8 at-large bids at the end of the year. So I wouldn't be surprised at all that Seattle Invitational that we're at the end of the year. A lot of players fly out there looking to get those last couple of points to solidify their spots at the PC.
I could easily imagine a scenario where there's about 10 or 12 players who are in play for eight slots. Or 7 slots,
Yep.
you know. We're probably going to have some players locked in at that point as we get to that tournament, but there's going to be some slots floating in the air.
It's going to be fun to watch the Open Series all year long. You think of the players who are those 8 at-large bids. I think of Kent Ketter.
Yeah.
I think of Tyler Wilkerson.
Gerard
who we saw
Fabiano.
earlier. Gerard as well.
Eric
Rill.
Yep.
Some players who are really beginning to make a name for themselves on the Open Series circuit, as well as just the other circuits of Magic that are out there. So you're going to see Jared Boettcher take a look at his opener. He's got 6 cards now. Again, he has won an Open Series event, a Legacy Open in this building last year. Doing with Sneak and Show then, trying to do it with 4-color Delver now.
Right on the heels of a second place finish at a Legacy Grand Prix the week previous.
The thing that makes it so impressive to me about his second place finish at that Legacy Grand Prix is that Sneak and Show, you know, it had the bullseye at that tournament. People playing Death and Taxes and wanting to try a lot of different things, or excuse me, wanting to try to beat that particular deck with a lot of different strategies. But he was able to almost take the tournament down, but tough person to try to beat in the finals, Nolan Turtenwald.
Beatdown deck with Meddling Mage and counterspells, piloted by arguably the planet's best player.
Yeah.
No shame in losing that one.
Absolutely not. And truth be told, for Owen, it seemed to be a long time coming anyway.
Absolutely.
So Chris Van Meter, we have an update for him. 6-0 with Sneak and Show. Just 2-0 Dave Shields, apparently pretty quickly, because I can see the time there, and most of the time here has been spent mulliganing.
And not a shabby backup feature match by any stretch.
Yeah, not at all. But we won't have time to get to that, because CVM is good to go. Ross, we don't know what that says. Ross,
Are you
not entertained? There we go. There you go. Jam it right there, Ross. There you are.
A mulligan to 5, and now another mulligan to 5.
That's right.
Now, Jarrett could definitely win on a 5-card hand with cards
Absolutely.
like Grim Lava Mancer and Fire Ice in his deck.
However, to answer Ross's question, yes, I am entertained.
I'm reasonably entertained.
Yeah. Ross, very entertaining earlier today. Great match he had against Jim Davis.
Yes.
Really, really good match. Fun to watch.
Yeah, a great match in between two pretty close to freebies. I mean, his quarterfinal match was a lot closer in the games than I was anticipating against Green White Aggro. And the games against Mono Red were about as lopsided as you would anticipate.
Par for the course for that matchup, honestly.
No, actually, I think the Mono Red player did better than expected. Ross had a hand of lands and spells, and the Mono Red player actually had a draw in the last turn to win the game.
Yeah, in game 1.
Yeah, that's better than expected.
Yeah. Boettcher with a, looks to be a sarcastic thumbs up. He will keep. Merriam with the Bayou into a Deathrite Shaman. Boettcher will take a draw here. You see a Trop and a Volcanic. He's got a Force of Will. Looks like a Deathrite as well, so his hand's not great. Merriam will take a draw here. He wants to get this game taken care of as fast as he can, I would believe. Don't give your opponent a lot of draws in this situation.
For sure, especially when you don't know your opponent could be bringing cards like Rough Tumble is unlikely, but you can anticipate maybe some sweepers are in play here, or at least just more bolts and other removal spells.
Queer and Ranger, and just a passing of the turn from Merriam. Boettcher does draw a Polluted Delta, who's going to play a Misty Rainforest. Pass the turn back over to Merriam, who will take a draw.
And Jared's hand is a mess here. I believe it is Force of Will and lands.
I've seen better.
Yeah.
Merriam just going to play Misty Rainforest past the turn back, so he's got nothing exciting going on here either. Remember, he kept his 7 cards. Boettcher picks up a copy of Wasteland. He will play that and just pass the turn back over to Merriam. Merriam's going to take a draw here. Looks like Elvish Visionary. This one might actually be able to break serve.
Maybe time for Russ to get the ball rolling now.
Yeah. So 2 mana. It's just a boring 1/1. All it does draw a card. What's the big deal?
Yep. And keep in mind, Jared has no disruption to break any of this up. He has that Wasteland in play. I believe he's saving, so next turn he could hard cast Force of Will, but there may be no next turn.
Of course, we know that, just like you guys do at home, but Ross does not.
Correct.
So he'll have to tread pretty carefully, I believe.
I don't know if his hand has really any tools to allow him to go off. Glimpse, Wirewood Symbiote, and Natural Order are all the big tools from here.
Sacrifice the Misty Rainforest. Will Merriam's time to search up a land. No Stifle here from Boettcher. There's another copy of Bayou.
So Ross really needs one of his big plays here, in part because he can't attack through Deathrite Shaman. Normally Elves, or sometimes Elves can get to the spot where he can just start beating down with 1/1s, but he's going to need one of his payoff cards to really get anything going.
And now it is time to add a Heritage Druid to the board. I see Merriam very careful how he adds all these things to the board, what order he plays them in. There are some spells he's okay with getting countered. There are others that he is not okay with getting countered.
Sort of a strange uncommon.
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you regularly have 3 Elves in play you want to tap for mana in games of draft or low-level constructed? It's pretty infrequent.
You never know.
Feels like a rare to me.
Feels like a common to me. 3. Oh, this is a bunch of mana. 6. Oh, actually, it's more mana than I think.
4 Dried Arbor's 5.
Dried Arbor's hiding out, yep.
So just, here comes big hooves.
Yeah. It's almost like Ross knows how to play his deck. Boettcher is going to concede the game. Shows a Force Will and a bunch of lands. So Big Daddy Craterhoof going to get the job done there. Ross Merriam is going to tie it up.
And even if Jared had a Stifle in that spot, Ross could have easily just won with a 5/5 Trampler.
Yeah, I mean, Jared can't beat that board at that point, really. I mean, a 5/5 Trampler against 4-color Delver? No, you win.
Yeah, 5/5s are really good against Delver decks.
Yes, you win the game. Again, Boettcher had a Force of Will, no blue card, just all lands in his hand, so Axe just easily picks it up there. And now Merriam is going to go back to drawing board, as will Boettcher here. Both players, I think, looking to keep 7 cards for game 3, you think?
Yeah, wouldn't be bad.
You think that's a strategy?
Well, each of them individually hope they kept 7 cards. Whatever happens to their opponent, I think they're a little less invested in.
You may be correct.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this Wednesday with you, depending on when you fly back, Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll record a podcast about the Open Series.
Yeah, we've been starting to do that, which I've really enjoyed. A good summary of what's been going on in the Open Series, decks we've seen, metagame influences and stuff like that. Good synopsis. We know that people can't necessarily stay tuned to the broadcast the entire time, and so there's interesting matches or conversations that get lost in the shuffle. So,
and who knows what we're liable to talk about?
Yeah,
it could go anywhere.
It is. We can be not that much, but a little bit looser than we can on the broadcast.
This is true. This is true. So again, every Wednesday or Thursday on Star City Games, Patrick and I will be talking about the Open Series and what happens if you're not able to catch all of it, or if you just want to hear us talk for a couple minutes.
Yeah,
you can do that too. We promise we won't stop you.
Right.
But we'll turn our attention to what happened here, but also kind of make some predictions, I suppose, about what happens in the Invitational next weekend. Again, this is, and one thing I really want to talk to you about is, because the person I'm going to be watching a lot there is Jerry. His first tournament back and how he's going to approach things, because right now he's in the lab.
Yeah,
that's where Jerry's at.
He's just sort of working solo, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Because like before, he lived in Roanoke, so he could bounce ideas off of Brad and Todd and Brian and Chris and all that stuff. But he's in the lab. I have lunch with Jerry every Monday. Mm-hmm. Most of the time when I fly back, I'll meet him for lunch, and he'll be in the lab thinking I got some ideas, and I'm playing on Moto a bunch, and I'm getting ready. The interview's my first tournament back, so he is deep in the proverbial tank right now, and he's like, I want to smash this Invitational pretty bad.
Yeah, I kind of know the feeling. There was a while there where I was kind of the end boss of the New York, New Jersey PTQs.
Yeah.
I moved out to California. And then when I started hearing about the people that were winning PTQs, I was like, that guy, he couldn't hang if I was around, you know? So being able to come back and raise hell on the people that dominated in your absence is a really attractive thing. If you are motivated by revenge like I am, maybe you're wired differently and whatever, but...
Yeah, your mileage may vary.
I'm not saying this is necessarily how you feel, but I know this was a thing for me for a little while.
So Jerry making his return to the Open Series. Again, he has top 8 at 6 invitationals and won 2. So that's a tournament he enjoys playing.
Only player to win Opens and back-to-back weekends.
Yes. He is back on the Magic scene. Same weekend.
right?
Same weekend. He wins the Standard Legacy Open in the same weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if he's won in back-to-back weekends either.
Yeah.
I don't know that to be fact, but it wouldn't surprise me. He just won. Not at all. Looks like Feline Longmore picked up a win this round, so sitting at X1, defeated Alex Bertoncini.
Yeah, they were in a backup feature match. Off camera. Good win for Feline.
Delver of Secrets in the house off a tropical island. Merriam gonna sacrifice and search with the Verdant Catacombs and Green Sun Zenith.
Shortcutting the search with the Verdant Catacombs, and the second shuffle with Green Sun Zenith.
Yeah. Greg Hatch would not be happy about that. Him and his Cozy's Trickster.
How big is my Cozy's Trickster?
Yeah. Answer the question. Right now it would be a 4-4.
Yeah.
It would be a 4-4 right now. Delver's Secret's trigger going to be placed on the stack here. Boettcher's ready to flip that in attack. You can tell.
Looks like Ross and Jared having a pretty lighthearted match. Easy to do when you've won the Standard Open.
This is fair.
Yeah.
This is fair. They were actually talking about shuffling with Cozy's Trickster.
Yeah.
So apparently they've met Greg as well.
Right. Who has not been influenced by Greg Hatch?
This is true. It looks like it's a brainstorm with the trigger on the stack. So hit 1 is a delta, 2 is a force, 3 is a go. Ooh, that's a good one.
That is
very charm.
a loaded hand that involves Force of Will, a blue card, a Grim Lavamancer you can cast, and a Golgari Charm. The Golgari Charm and the Grim Lavamancer, of course, at odds with one another, but they do, in a weird way, play fine together insofar as the Grim Lavamancer beats Ross if Ross paces his threats, and the Golgari Charm is very good if Ross is able to overwhelm him.
Now, what's interesting to me here is that he's actually going to show the Golgari Charm. He had a Lightning Bolt to Ponder and a Force that he could have shown instead. And I wonder if that's by design.
It has to be. It has to be a conscious choice.
And for 3 comes Boettcher, going to put Merriam down at 16. What's actually kind of unique about that play is that it forces Ross to play the game in a really contorted and strange way.
Yeah, for sure. And it could be a bit of a semi-bluff here if Jared doesn't have Black Mana in his hand.
Mm-hmm. He's going to search out a Volcanic.
But we shall see.
A player of his level, I don't think he did that on accident.
Yeah.
Grim Lavamancer, another fantastic one against Elves.
And little creature decks in general.
Yeah. I know you've killed many a thing.
Oh,
with
yeah.
That creature. You like that artwork or the old one?
Old one.
I knew it. I knew it.
What are we even talking about here? If you don't mind me asking.
Is there any artwork that you like of a new card as opposed to an old one?
I prefer the Masks Brainstorm to the Ice Age Brainstorm.
Nice.
And that about does it.
Favorite counterspell art?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's another one. I think that I prefer, my favorite Dark Ritual artwork, I think, is the Tempest one.
Okay. I have heard that you prefer the new Meddling Mage art to the old one. Is there any truth to that rumor?
No.
No? Okay. Just wanted to clarify for Chris, who may or may not be watching the broadcast.
And that has nothing to do with it, being some sort of alleged slight to Chris. I just think objectively, the Plane Shift artwork is better.
I understand. A Wirewood Sibuoid here for Merriam. He knows he's in some trouble.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Lavamancer and a Charm in the hand.
And this is the tough spot. He can't really measure his threats because of the Lavamancer, nor can he overextend because of the Golgari Charm.
Well, a useful Abrupt Decay may change some things. Getting that Lavamancer off of the table Boettcher picked up a fetch land for his draw, so he is ready to fire away with Insectile Aberration again at the very least. He may fire off a Ponder here too.
Well, it looked like he had an Underground Sea in his hand last turn because he just drew a Delta, so it looked like showing the Golgari Charm with the ability to cast it was by design.
In comes Insectile Aberration. Merriam down to 13. What does Boettcher want to do now? Funny thing is, Golgari Charm on this board is actually really good.
Yeah.
But I think he's thinking I can do a little better than that. So how greedy do you get?
I don't know. I guess he doesn't have to worry about natural order in this spot because he has Force of Will plus blue card. So we can wait for a little more value, or at least to respond if Ross does anything threatening. Right now, that Wirewood Symbiote doesn't represent anything.
Some mana for Merriam. This feels like an Elvish Visionary. I had a feeling.
Now, this may be this point where Jared wants to respond.
Jared going to look at his hand again. Force of Will. He's got a Ponder. He's got the Charm. He's got a Bolt.
Now, I suppose he can still wait and respond to the Symbiote before going ahead and using his Golgari Charm.
Now, there's a Cradle. That's going to tap for 3. Now, of course, part of the cost of Wirewood is picking up a creature.
Yeah.
So we'll never be able to stop that. He's not going to be able to get the Elvish Visionary. He's going to untap this. So Jared's just going to let him keep going. Now, Merriam with 3 mana floating. Now it's 1 left. 1 green in the pool. Glimpse of Nature is the draw.
It's possible Jared is just acting under the presumption that there's only so much damage Ross can do from this spot.
Possible.
It looks like right now Ross is advancing his board, but he may not be able to do much more than stuff like this as long as the Golgari Charm's in Jared's hand.
These creatures are attacking, passing the turn back. Boettcher is going to sacrifice that fetch land. Again, that's why that play felt a little bit curious to me by Boettcher, showing the Golgari Charm. On purpose, no less. But again, it does contort the way that Merriam has to play.
Yes.
He's basically walking on eggshells the entire time of how much can I extend the board, which may give Boettcher the time that he's looking for.
And maybe Jared's also working on the assumption that the Golgari Charm killing just the Arbor and the Symbiote is not enough. If Ross has any sort of reload, he's looking at basically just Force of Will to fend himself off.
Well, catching the Visionary apparently is, because Ross has already used the Wirewood Symbiote on the turn. So now it's going to kill 3 creatures. The Arbor, the Visionary, and the Wirewood. So those will go away. The other thing that it'll kill, incidentally, is the Cradle.
Yeah, at least for the time being.
Boettcher draws another land. You can see his hand right now. 2 lands, Force of Will, Ponder.
And now Jared has to make the determination. Is Force of Will plus blue card plus Delver enough to win this game? Or do I have to ponder looking for help, knowing that there's a risk that I don't find a blue card and then Force of Will is also shut off?
And I think he has made a decision. It's time to ponder.
And I agree with this. I don't think Force of Will is enough from here.
Delta, Ponder, Misty, Yuck. Same thing.
Yeah.
You shuffle?
I think you take ponder again, and then probably shuffle.
He wants to ponder. I could certainly see him just passing the turn now with Force of Will's protection. I don't know if I love that play, but I could see that, and that's what he's going to do. Because what this allows him to do is he says, ponder, oh, keep. Show some strength.
It also allows him to keep a fetch land, draw the fetch land next turn, and have a lot more flexibility with what the next ponder looks like.
Yep.
At that point, if the ponder is 2 bad cards and 1 good one, he can take the 1 good one. The way that if he ponders that turn, what ends up happening is that he has to either shuffle or keep 2 lands.
Yeah. Merriam going to start his turn off with a Glimpse of Nature. So he's looking to draw some cards now. This is going to resolve. The first will be a Wirewood. That'll cantrip. Now, of course, it's whenever you play a creature spell, so you will draw before the card does resolve. That's why you saw Merriam tap his card asking if this is okay. Wirewood, he will cantrip, wondering if this resolves as well. The answer is yes. Cradle's going to tap for 2 green. Nettle Sentinel, he will draw. 1 green floating. Remember, he has already played his land. It was a Bayou. He'll take a draw.
So given that this is the opening here, he's still going to be able to continue to draw at least 2 more because he has those symbiote triggers.
No mana floating now, however. So that's the best he could do. All he can do is pass the turn back over to Boettcher. He reloaded a little bit there. This feels like a game where if he gets to untap and do something good, he might be okay. You saw Boettcher pick up a polluted Delta.
And a lot of things are in play now for Ross that Jared has to be concerned about. I mean, the game is going down to a place where, of course, natural order starts mattering here. Even Hardcast Craterhoof Behemoth is now in play. So, and Jared's pretty far away from being able to kill Ross. It's this and then 3 more turns. Is the one forcible going to be enough? And at this point, even Jared's just losing the damage race. He might just lose to random attackers.
Yeah. The same decision that he had last turn he has on this one. Do I cast Ponder? He's going to fetch away. He's going to go down to 15 because he knows the top card, so he wants to see 3 fresh ones.
Yeah. But I don't think he can just clutch the force of will. I think he needs to do something.
Yep. Pondering in a brainstorm, for example, I think would be mighty fine for him.
Well, less so now that he doesn't have a way to shuffle his deck.
That's true.
And even things like Grim Lavamancer have started to lose a lot of their effectiveness.
Yep.
Fire Ice would be great here. That's a good draw.
Yeah, Fire Ice would be a nice one. Take care of those 2 Wirewoods. Get those out of here.
Or even try to split 1 and 1 so he has Ross down to a 2-turn clock.
This is also true. Decisions for Mr. Boettcher.
He can also just leave up Force of Will this turn and then Ponder next turn. He can hard cast Force of Will now. And then really reload next turn.
Take a draw.
And I believe that is the decision that Jared has made here.
Well, Merriam certainly got something to do in the meantime, and this is where things can get a little bit ugly. Merriam's going to draw. Heritage Druid as well. Does he want to play that right now? Yes, he does.
And it's tough the way that Jared's played this game. You know, he's not fighting over things like the Elves Visionary, even though that card's very threatening. He's gripping that Force of Will, just trying to hold on to the one lethal card that Ross might be able to generate. But too much damage might be done in the in-turn by Ross just advancing his board, attacking, and finding redundant ways to win the game.
Natural Order of Zenith is what he's going to counter, or like a Hardcast Craterhoof.
Yeah.
Those are the cards that he's saving for Force of Will. The thing is, Ross is really able to do whatever he wants this turn.
Yeah.
That's what you can tell. Because that Cradle's going to generate a boatload of mana.
And the cards that I'm rattling off there, there's a lot of them. It's not like there's just one way to win the game in this deck.
Three green. There's a Deathrite. That'll untap Nettle. One thing too, when you watch Merriam play this deck, you know he knows what he's doing. Cradle's going to generate a whole bunch of mana. 7 of them. Remember, Merriam hasn't played a land, but he has now. It's a backup Cradle. It's Zenith time. Merriam says, "Whoop, you better have an answer for this."
Yep.
And he's got enough mana right now that this would be a Crater of Behemoth to kill, but that gets countered. So let's see what Merriam wants to do for the second part. Gonna add 3 green. Gonna pick up the Visionary. Gonna untap the Heritage Druid. So Wirewood number 2 has been used.
And this is what I was alluding to before, is Jared's at risk of losing this game just to attackers now.
Yeah, just the board being full.
Yeah.
And the card advantage engine from Visionary.
Yeah.
You know, drawing multiple cards a turn. Yep. It seems as though Jared may have dodged a bullet here.
For sure.
As he is not dead this turn. So Boettcher's going to draw a card. Didn't quite make out what that was.
I believe it's Gataxian Probe.
Yeah, okay.
And Jared's at risk here if he doesn't find a removal spell. If Ross gets it untapped with the 2 Deathrite Shamans, that's potentially a lot of action there as well. Managing the race in either direction.
Yep. It's got to be Ponder time. Could be Probe to start. It's going to be Ponder to start. Hit 1, Brainstorm, 2, Deathrite, 3, Stifle. I don't think those are what he's looking for. Feels like to me this is kind of like a lightning bolt situation.
Yeah, the problem is that Jared, it does not feel like Jared can win the game through conventional means anymore. The Stifle is theoretically fine stopping Craterhoof Behemoth or some other trigger along the way. But because Jared is at risk for just losing the game to random attackers, it feels like he has to find some way to steal it. And he has Gitaxian Probe in hand, so he can shuffle here and try to find running bolts, although that's no longer an option given the way how he tapped his mana.
Yeah, he is the red. Yeah, because my mind has been on running bolts for some time now, and I feel like, he kind of has to cheese them out a little bit, for lack of a better term, and just steal a win that way.
Yeah, because Ross, there's plenty of creatures in Ross's graveyard from that Golgari charm. He can just untap and gain 4 with Deathrite Shamans, even if he doesn't have a way to kill Jared this turn, which feels likely.
So let's not forget that those Deathrite Shamans are summoning sick. They were cast on the last turn. So a play of, use the Wirewoods and to untap them and then tap the Cradle for mana and use the Deathrites, that's not a play Ross can make this turn. He can make it on the following turns.
Yeah.
But he can't make it on this one. So Boettcher's given this Ponder a real hard look, and now he's taken away the ability for, a lightning bolt, even, the lightning bolt, combination of bolt, fire, ice, that being a way to win. And it looks like he's going to keep these cards.
Oh, he has another Volcanic in his hand. Okay, so he's got that settled.
So this is still a live play then. Gonna probe. I'm gonna pay to probe. Not too much going on there for Merriam.
Just some mana and Aquarian Ranger. Not a lot, nothing there of note, really.
Boettcher knew what he was going to draw. It was a Stifle. Looks like he wanted to play the Volcanic. Isn't going to play it yet. Now the Running Bolts play is gone.
Yeah.
Deathrite.
Well,
True name.
He needs to tap this way because he needs to kill himself a shot at Golgari Charm.
And a fetch land or what he found.
Although Golgari Charm doesn't even do a ton on this board. I mean,
it's not great. It's not great, yeah.
I think his odds of winning this game are much higher just trying to find running bolts than they are with any of his sweepers, any additional creatures, what have you.
I mean, realistically, what Treating was going to kill are the 2 copies of Wirewood Symbiote, because the Heritage Druid and the Illustrationary he'll just pick up with Wirewood. So
Attention Magic players, that is time.
It would kill 2 creatures.
It's time of the round. If you have an extension and there is not a judge at your table, please raise your hand and judge will come over to you.
You can tell he's in some serious trouble now.
He has some ways to fend himself off, but not long-term solutions.
You see the math here. How much damage can you deal if all my creatures are gone? How much can you deal? 2 from Deathrite, 2 from Deathrite. That's 4. Plus 2 from Nettle Sentinel. That's 6. 7 and 8 from Wirewood's attacking. 9 and 10 from the other 2 elves. That's not lethal, unless Boettcher, of course, uses a fetch land.
Yeah.
So that would be lethal. So Brainstorm does resolve. I don't think Delver can hang back on D. That's not going to win you the game. So Merriam's going to go down to 4. Boettcher going to play Volcanic. There's True Name. Pass the turn back. So now Merriam is, in theory, facing lethal, but not in reality.
Yes. The 2 Deathrites pushes him up above 6. Now the deck can't block Delver of Secrets and can't kill True Name Nemesis, so these are stable sources of damage. But
everything will untap except for that Nettle Sentinel. Merriam is going to start by casting Aquarian Ranger. He'll untap the Nettle Sentinel now. He's going to use this to remove that. He'll use this to remove something else. Boettcher's going to go down to 7, where you're going to see here now Aquarian Ranger.
Is he picking up the Bayou?
Yes, sir.
Fancy.
Ranger will be used. Deathrite. Going to use you again. Remove something else. Push you down to 5. Ross going to use Wirewood. Untap this. Pick up that.
This is impressive ops, yeah. gets a full reset, and this is an exact lethal attack,
with everybody.
with the clowns.
Blocked by Nettle, Sentinel, die. He's been here before.
Yep.
And you see Boettcher coming to realization and Ross breathing a sigh of relief. When he's got an opponent pondering, brainstorming, and probing, you're thinking, I could just be dead to double bolt, I could be dead to fire ice, all of those things. And I make it out of that turn alive. And now I think what Boettcher is realizing is, I didn't see that coming.
Well, that's the big thing in all this, too, is, once you see the Gataxian probe and there's any creature in Ross's hand, that's lethal.
Yes.
And I don't think Jared had the realization that Ross had a lethal attack coming across.
And that is going to do it. Ross Merriam, our standard Open champion, he is well on his way to maybe becoming a Legacy Open champion. He defeats Jared Boettcher in 3 games. Elves 6-0, won last weekend, and hey, it might win this weekend too.
It's had a really good run, and Jared's deck is, there's no shortage of good cards against Elves.
Yeah.
He's got Bolts and Griblavancers and Golgari Charms and what have you, but it's just, you need a lot of that stuff against Elves. One removal spell is not going to do it. You saw Ross mulligan to 5, and Jared had essentially a sweeper in his Fire Ice. That's good enough to get it done, but against good 7-card hands, you're not beating it with one removal spell.
And hey,